Truck, bus and cab drivers across several states in India are on a 3-day strike for now. They're protesting against the new provisions for hit-and-run cases under the recently passed Bhartiya Nyay Sahita Act, which has replaced the IPC. Under the new act, whoever causes the death of any person by doing any rash or negligent act not amounting to culpable homicide will be punished with imprisonment extending up to 7 years and will also be liable for a fine. However, if the perpetrator evades or delays reporting the incident to authorities and the cops, the imprisonment could extend up to 10 years with a fine of rupees 7 lakhs. This is in stark contrast from previous provisions of the IPC, wherein a maximum jail term of 2 years was imposed along with a fine of just 1,000 rupees. Truckers' associations have raised several concerns with the changed laws. They feel that the new law is biased against owners of large vehicles, as truck and bus drivers may not be able to pay these large sums of fines. Some of them also feel that the law could be misused by the authorities, while others have raised concerns about mob violence against the driver who may stay back to help a victim or wait for the authorities to arrive. Meanwhile, a serious impact of the protests can be felt in many states, including Punjab, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and J&K, where people are now panic buying petrol and diesel as petrol pumps have been hit by a lack of supply. Similarly, people are also worried about the strike impacting the supply of fruit and vegetables in various parts of the country. While the drivers have the right to protest, we need to put out some clear facts in place. The year 2022 witnessed over 4,60,000 road accidents that killed 1,68,491 people. The 2022 figures reported were at an all-time high. Despite improvement in infrastructure, we are unable to bring the number of road accidents and the subsequent deaths down. Obviously, when we get better roads and highways, we end up driving faster, which does ultimately have a positive impact on travel time and overall connectivity. But driving faster on better roads cannot mean driving rashly and taking a human life. What is the balance that needs to be struck here? We take this conversation forward. I have with me very crucial voices with us on the broadcast. We have, to begin with, Sunita ji, who is the wife of a hit-and-run victim. I'm going to begin this conversation with Sunita ji, if I may. Sunita ji, अगर आपको मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है, देखिए आपसे ये पूछते हुए बहुत दुख हो रहा है मुझे, पर अगर आप हमारे व्यूअर्स को बता सकें कि एग्जैक्टली आपके हस्बैंड की डेथ कैसे हुई थी, देहांत कैसे हुआ था?
मेरे हस्बैंड मेरे पास से रात को बच्चों के लिए कुछ लेने गए थे। मेरे घर के पास ही एक्सीडेंट हुआ। 7 मिनट में मैं उनके पास भी पहुंच गई। मुझे जिसने एक्सीडेंट किया उसी का कॉल आया, वो हमारे जानने वाले हैं, और वो लेने भी आ गया। पहुंचे हैं हॉस्पिटल में, सामने ही दशमेश हॉस्पिटल है, तो वहां पे उनकी हालत सीरियस थी। फिर मैं उनको लेके एम्बुलेंस में दीनदयाल आई हूँ। दीनदयाल से उन्होंने बोला न्यूरो का यहाँ पे नहीं है, तो आप इनको बहुत ज्यादा सीरियस है कंडीशन, या तो आरएमएल या सफदरजंग ले जाइए। तो फिर मैं अपने हस्बैंड को एम्बुलेंस, सफदरजंग हॉस्पिटल थोड़ा नजदीक था, मैं लेके भागी वहां पे।
ओके, पर सुनीता जी, उस समय जो दोषी था इस मामले में, आप कह रही हैं आपके जानकार थे वो, पर जो केस था इस मामले में, क्या केस बनाया था पुलिस ने, अथॉरिटीज ने?
नहीं, अभी पुलिस ने 9 महीने बाद चार्जशीट दाखिल करी है और ये लोग कुछ नहीं कर रहे। इन्होंने सिर्फ ये अनट्रेस में देना चाह रहे हैं, जबकि सीसीटीवी फुटेज भी मैंने निकाल के दी है एसएचओ को और आईओ को। फुटेज तक मैंने निकाल के दी है, गाड़ी दिखा दी है, गाड़ी का नंबर उसमें क्लियर नहीं हो रहा है, तो पुलिस ने कुछ नहीं किया। और जबकि हाई कोर्ट की डायरेक्शन है कि 3 दिन से ज्यादा एमएससीटी का केस ये थाने में रख नहीं सकते, एमएससीटी डिपार्टमेंट में कोर्ट में भेजना होता है। इन्होंने 9 महीने बाद चार्जशीट दाखिल की है मेरी।
So clearly there's a big lapse there as far as the authorities are also concerned, and we'll hopefully take that forward. सुनीता जी, आपसे ये भी जानना चाहेंगे कि जो पहले की पनिशमेंट थी, क्या वो काफ़ी है, जो 2 साल की पनिशमेंट और 1,000 रुपए का फाइन होता था आपके हिसाब से?
सजा का तो मैं नहीं बता सकती, क्योंकि जब फैमिली सफर करती है ना, तो मैं चाहती हूं कि जो निर्दोष है वो ना फंसे
जी।
देखो, सब तो दोषी भी नहीं है, सब निर्दोष भी नहीं है।
ओके।
जिसने किया है उसको सजा होनी चाहिए।
एब्सोल्युटली। एंड सुनीता जी, जो अब नया जो लॉ आया है जिसमें पनिशमेंट टाइम इंक्रीज हो गया है हिट एंड रन केसेस के लिए, उसके बारे में आपका क्या कहना है, क्या सोच है, क्या महसूस करती हैं आप?
मैं महसूस करती हूँ कि ये हिट एंड रन मामला जो होता है, इसमें पुलिस जो है, पुलिस का बहुत बड़ा एक नेगेटिव रोल रहता है कि वो इस केस को अपना दुकानदारी बनाते हैं। जिसके साथ मिस हैपनिंग हुई वो तो फैमिली खत्म हो गई, वो बंदा तो हुआ वो उसकी फैमिली, बट ये जिसने मारा है उसको भी लूटते हैं।
ठीक है, कानून ठीक है,
कानून ठीक है, कानून के खिलाफ नहीं है, बट दिल्ली पुलिस जो ये कर रही है उसको सुधारने की जरूरत है। पुलिस कमिश्नर से मिलना चाहो वो मिलते नहीं है। जन लोक अदालत लगाई हुई है लेकिन पुलिस कमिश्नर नहीं मिलते। जहां एप्लीकेशनें देनी हो, डीसीपी को मिलो, सीपी को मिलो, कोई नहीं मिलता, कोई कार्रवाई नहीं होती। मैं 9 महीने 10 महीने होने को आ गए अब, और 10 दिन बाद मैं 10 महीने हो जाएंगे मेरे केस में, आज तक कुछ नहीं हुआ। ना कभी मुलजिम को बुलाया गया है, ना कभी कुछ करा गया है। तो मैं इस कानून के खिलाफ नहीं हूं, मैं दिल्ली पुलिस के खिलाफ हूं।
आपने बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट वहाँ रेज करा है सुनीता जी, एंड होपफुली आई विल बी एबल टू हैव अ कॉन्वर्सेशन ऑन दैट। बट सुनीता जी, आपसे ये भी समझना चाहेंगे कि क्या कहीं आपको लगता है कि सज़ा बढ़ाने से और फाइन बढ़ाने से रैश ड्राइविंग के खिलाफ दिस विल एक्ट एज अ डेटरेंट, ये जो नया कानून आया है?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल करना चाहिए, करेगा और करना चाहिए भी। जो बिना लाइसेंस के ड्राइविंग करते हैं, बच्चों को पी के दारू पी के नशे करते हैं आजकल की नई जनरेशन, तो वो चाहते हैं, वो मार देते हैं, उनको सपोर्ट करते हैं, फैमिली भी सपोर्ट करती है उनकी। उनको क्यों दिया जाता है गाड़ी? जब तक उनको बालिग नहीं है और लाइसेंस नहीं है, उनको ट्रेनिंग नहीं दी गई, उन्हें चलानी नहीं आती है, वो ऐसे ही घसीट के सीख गए हैं, तो उनको नहीं देना चाहिए। ऐसे लोगों पे, फैमिली पे भी कंट्रोल होना चाहिए। फैमिली देगी नहीं तो बच्चे कहाँ से चलाएंगे?
ओके, इसी नोट
कानून से लगाम लगेगी, हम इससे सहमत हैं।
ओके सुनीता जी, आपसे यही जानना चाहूंगी, जैसे आपने अभी फैमिली का भी एग्जाम्पल रेज करा, तो कानून के अलावा आपको क्या लगता है कि ये हिट एंड रन मामलों में क्या करने की ज़रूरत है एक सामाजिक स्तर पर, ताकि लोग अपने, जैसे आपने कहा कि फैमिलीज अलाउ कर देती हैं, गाड़ियां दे देती हैं लाइसेंस के बिना, तो आपको क्या लगता है कि सामाजिक स्तर पर क्या ऐसी करने की आवश्यकता है और ताकि हिट एंड रन केसेस एटलीस्ट हमारी कंट्री में कम हो?
ये सबसे पहले मैं आपको कई बारी रिपीट कर चुकी हूँ कि एक तो फैमिली का तो रहता ही है उनका, कि जो वो सपोर्ट करते हैं अपने बच्चों को, यातायात नियमों का उल्लंघन करते हैं, उनको पता ही नहीं होता है, पैसे दे के ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस बनवा लेते हैं, अगर ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस भी है तो है। दूसरी बात है, गाड़ियां उनको दे दी जाती हैं, नशे में वो गाड़ी चलाते हैं तो दूसरा बंदा मर जाता है। तीसरी सबसे अहम जो मुद्दा है वो दिल्ली पुलिस है। दिल्ली पुलिस इतनी बिकी हुई है, बिकाऊ है, कि वो उसको 2-4 लाख रुपए दे दो, बंदे की कीमत उन्होंने 2-4 लाख रुपए लगा रखी है। जबकि मेरे केस में भी मुझे कहा गया कि आप ज्यादा कार्रवाई मत करो, आपको 7-8 लाख रुपए हम दिला देंगे।
अच्छा,
इन पे लगाम लगनी चाहिए, तभी कानून की रक्षा हम कर पाएंगे। कानून गलत नहीं है
जी।
सबसे पहले दिल्ली पुलिस और पेरेंट्स, इन पे लगाम लगनी चाहिए। इनको नोटिस जाने चाहिए कि ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस क्यों देते हैं ये ऐसे, जिसको आता ही नहीं चलाना, पैसे लेके तुम ये गलत काम करते हो। क्राइम को पूरे इंडिया में मेरा अपना मानना है, आई एम ए सोशल वर्कर, कि क्राइम को बढ़ावा देने वाली सबसे पहली दिल्ली पुलिस है, यूपी पुलिस, दिल्ली पुलिस।
थैंक यू सो मच सुनीता जी, आपने हमसे बात करी, अपना मुद्दा रखा, एंड यू नो यू हेल्प्ड अस अंडरस्टैंड दैट इट्स परहैप्स नॉट जस्ट द लॉ, but there's a lot more on a societal level that needs to be done, and also someone needs to pull up the authorities and the cops as well. And we'll have that conversation. I have with me Mahendra Arya, co-chairman of AITWA, with us Shamsher Singh, General Secretary of the Bombay Goods and Transport Association, Advocate Ashwini Dubey, Constitution expert, and Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian, also with us. Let me begin with Mr. Shamsher Singh. Mr. Singh, if you can help distill for our viewers, sir, what are the key problems that drivers of trucks and buses and cabs have with this increase in the imprisonment years and the fine as well?
सबसे पहले हैप्पी न्यू ईयर, नमस्ते। और हमने हमारी सोशल वर्कर मैडम का भी बड़ा दुख का वो विषय सुना, जो अभी हमारे 25 तारीख को ऑनरेबल गृह मंत्री साहब ने जो पार्लियामेंट में ये एक नया कानून नहीं आया है, इस कानून को अमेंड किया है, सेक्शन को 304A को। आगे ये प्रावधान पहले भी थे, 2 साल की इनकी सजा थी और करीब 5 लाख रुपए तक जुर्माना था। तो अभी जो नया इन्होंने अमेंड किया है, इसमें 10 लाख जुर्माना और 10 साल की सजा का प्रावधान किया गया है। तो इसमें काफ़ी कुछ क्लैरिटी दी गई, लेकिन समझने में, समझाने में थोड़ी सी कमियां रहेगी, आपस में कोऑर्डिनेशन, जहाँ तक हमारा विचार है। और अभी तक 3-4 दिन से जब से ये चीजें हुई है, हमारे जो ड्राइवर भाई है, अभी तक मेरे हिसाब से हमारी बॉम्बे गुड्स ट्रांसपोर्ट एसोसिएशन या कोई भी लोकल एसोसिएशन अभी तक ऑफिशियली इसमें कोई इन्वॉल्व नहीं हुई है। और हम भी नहीं चाहते हैं कि ये एक देश का नुकसान हो, और इसमें हमारा आप देख ही रहे हैं कि सारा आवक जावक रुक गई है और काफ़ी गाड़ियों को नुकसान हुआ है। और यहाँ जैसे हमारी नावासिवा पोर्ट है, जिससे पूरा हमारा देश का एक्सपोर्ट इंपोर्ट का हब है, वहाँ भी काफ़ी परेशानी है, ड्राइवरों ने गाड़ियाँ रोकी हुई है। तो हम ये चाह रहे हैं कि आज हमारे प्रेसिडेंट सुरेश खोसला जी यहाँ, और जो हमारी एपेक्स बॉडी है AMTC, वहाँ आज मीटिंग हुई है इनकी, और उसके अंदर कोई न कोई समाधान हम निकालने से, ताकि किसी को भी इसमें, हमारे ड्राइवरों का भी हित। इसमें सबसे बड़ा ड्राइवरों को तकलीफ क्या है कि एक तो 10 लाख रुपए किसी भी ड्राइवर के लिए बहुत बड़ी चीज है। वो अगर 10 लाख हो गए तो वो गाड़ियां कहाँ पे क्यों चलाने की, उनको दिन रात
7 लाख है सर, 7 लाख
नहीं, 7 से 10 का भी है मैडम। वैसे जो आपका सेक्शन के ऊपर है
जी, वो इम्प्रिजनमेंट ईयर्स हैं सर। पहले 7 साल है और दूसरे में 10 साल है। तो यही वही ठीक है, आपकी बात मुझे समझ में आ रही है कि बहुत कंफ्यूजन है, क्या एक्चुअली है क्या।
जी,
ओके,
अगर वो
नोटेड,
गवर्नमेंट ने उसमें क्लैरिटी भी दिया कर, अगर हिट करके वो रन नहीं हुए, रन यानी किसी भी नियरेस्ट पुलिस स्टेशन में चले जाते हैं, तो उनके ऊपर ये रन का सेक्शन नहीं लगेगा। हिट का हो गया है, रन का सेक्शन नहीं लगेगा, ना प्रिजनमेंट होगी, ना इनका इतना फाइन होगा। लेकिन अब सबसे पहले सिक्योरिटी का सिस्टम आ जाता है कि हमारे ड्राइवर, हमारे क्या रूमर्स हो जाती है, चाहे वो गलती सामने कार वाले की है, मोटरसाइकिल वाले की है, या किसी की भी है। जो बड़ी गाड़ी, जैसे जैसे मोटरसाइकिल वाला, कार वाला दोषी होता, कार की बजाय फिर 6 पहिए वाला होता, 6 पहिए वाला 10। तो कोई भी जो बड़ी गाड़ी है, ऑटोमेटिकली हमारे एक दिमाग में बैठा हुआ है, सारा दोष उसके ऊपर मर दिया जाता है। और उससे चाहे सामने वाले ने गलती की है, ड्राइवर से हमारे से लग गई, तो उसको वहां पे अगर वो बचा के हॉस्पिटल लेके जाएगा, या उसको कैसी भी उसको फर्स्ट एड का कोई कार्य करता है, तब तक हमारी जो लोकल पब्लिक है वो उसको नोक डालते हैं, उसको मार डालते हैं। उनको सिर्फ, मेरा जो विचार है, भागने का सबसे बड़ा रीजन ये है, ताकि एक सिक्योरिटी उसको ये चीज हो जाए कि भाई हाँ, अगर वहां पब्लिक उसको चीजें उनके एक फ्रेंडली की हो गया है, उसको एब्जॉर्ब करें, तो ये एक चीज रिमूव हो सकती है।
ओके,
फिर भी अभी तक ऑफिशियली हमारी जो ऐसी एसोसिएशन है, कोई भी उसमें इन्वॉल्व नहीं है। आज वहां पे डिसीजन होगा, उसके अंदर हमें चाहते हैं कि हमारे ड्राइवर का भी प्रोटेक्शन हो और हमारे देश का नुकसान भी ना हो।
ओके, शमशेर जी, I'll just come back to you. Mahendra Arya was also with us. Mahendra Arya ji, I'd like to understand your perspective, sir. What do you make of the new law that has been brought in, and do you feel that this will truly act as a deterrent, or do you feel that it could potentially be misused?
Ma'am, let us understand first a driver. What is a driver? So, presuming that he is a rash driver is a wrong perception. We have got everything wrong about a truck driver because a truck driver is driving to earn his livelihood. He has a family to maintain, and then he is doing the maximum sacrifice. He is most of the time away from his house, maybe continuously 15 days on the road, and then he is eating on the road, he is sleeping on the road, everything on the road. But we, for whatever reasons, most of the Indians, we have a wrong perception about him. He is a rash driver, he is a drunkard, वो कुछ भी कर सकता है, he goes to sex workers, everything negative about him. Whereas this is not the fact, because he is a family man after all. So coming to this deterrent part, a deterrent is effective when a person is habitually a bad driver. So which they are not. If we should analyze these accident figures and death figures also, where do they happen? Even if I quote Sunita ji's case, this was in the middle of a big city, which happened.
Right.
So everything is mixed together. On highways, such cases are minimal, I am telling you. If you compare with the size of the highways, and the cities have got the maximum share, drivers are the most responsible people on the highway because their life is there, and they have planned a routine like that. So they don't go into rash driving.
Okay.
If the accident happens, there could be other reasons. Some animal has come in front, or somebody has taken a sudden break, or something has happened. Then only there is a chance of this kind of thing. So deterrent, of course, it doesn't work. It's not going to be a deterrent. How it is going to work? Let me tell you. As such, we have a shortage of truck drivers. Against every 10 trucks, we have maybe 7.5 drivers available. So nearly 20 to 25% trucks are not running because there is no driver. Now, what this law is going to do is, this will increase this figure to 50% or more. Because people will leave their job. Nobody wants to be in prison for 10 years and wanted to earn his livelihood for the family. So I think what Shamsherji has said, I agree with that. It's a big amount to pay. This 7 lakhs and this 10 lakhs is almost whole life. 40 years person, if he goes to jail, when he comes out, he's morally zero. Yeah, everything is against him.
Okay.
Yes, please.
All right. I'll come back to you in just a moment. So, Joyita, as we're speaking, our sources inform us of a MHA clarification that has come where the MHA is saying that there's false fear-mongering that's going on and the fine and punishment will be decided by courts, and we're also being told that there will be no fixed 7 lakh fine or an increased punishment. Why do you think that then there is such a great ambiguity? Or has the government somewhere failed in its responsibility to actually disseminate the correct information? Because like I said, it does. When you speak to people, it seems like there is just confusion all across.
Well, it seems even our co-panelists and of what the law is. The law says clearly that 10 years imprisonment happens if there's a hit and run case, but the driver runs away, which is often the case. Only then there is a 10-year thing. Otherwise, it's a normal. What happens in such cases where there is an accident, you take the person to the police station or hospital and you surrender at the police station, then the court will decide, what the quantum of punishment and all. But it seems right now what is happening is that, first of all the truck owners, the transport owners, because under the excuse of we do not have enough drivers, they are making them work.
Okay.
Overwork them.
Okay, Joyita, my apologies to interrupt you. I'm just going to come back to you in just a moment, and let's please fix these issues before we start off. We were not being able to hear you towards the end, so we'll just quickly fix that. I'll come back to you, I promise. Let me take the same question with Ashwini Dubey. Ashwini Dubey, you've heard a victim of a hit and run. She says that it's not necessarily the law that would act as a deterrent, but her main problem is actually with the authorities and the cops and what they do when such a case happens.
Reforms is needed. She was talking about the reforms. Here is the question. The law was brought to end the 50,000 cases which takes place in India every year by the hit and run cases. Number one. Number two, 304A was brought by Lord Macaulay in 1860. At that point of time, the number of vehicles were also less. And that too, it was not defined in the law that what is the hit and run case. The law was earlier only that the whosoever caused death by negligence. Why in 2023 or 2024, when number of vehicles have increased, roads have increased, the population has increased, we don't need a law, number one. Number two, it will minimize the number of hit and run cases. Why? This law aims to reduce the number of hit and run accidents. You have seen last year, New Year, the lady who was 1 or 2 kilometers in East Delhi, she was taken by one car, moving car. There was no cop. That's a different thing. But had it been the law punishing them for 10 years, then of course that number would have reduced. Number three, I personally belong to an area where 20,000 trucks carry the coal, Singrauli. Every day accident takes place in one district. 2-3 people died. But that is because of 304A. Immediately they get the bill, they sign a paper, next day they get the vehicle. So where is the accountability? A person dies in a road accident and you increasing the law, sentence, stricter punishment is being added. So you don't want to be accountable for the death which you have caused. Number one. Number two, the law imposes stricter penalties for hit and run cases, but that necessarily will be decided by the court. It is not that the police authorities, cop or the people will come and decide it. Number three, how many in mob lynching you have seen the deaths comparing to the 50,000 cases of the accidents? That are 1, 2 or 3. Number four, probably the truck owners association, or they should come. They should discuss with the government. Yes, if there is a law which has been brought into effect in order to save the people, in order to minimize the road accident, we will definitely go with that. But that at least you give right, and right has already been given to the court. It is not the authorities which are going to decide. It is not the law. Parliament is going to decide. Court ultimately will decide that where the person is actually guilty or not. And that too, the same police which is there to protect the victims, the same police also there to protect the accused persons. We live in a rule country run by the law, and law has been passed. Let's talk about what has happened in 1860. We are in 2023, 2024, 50,000, 60,000 accidents taking place. So at least we have to minimize that.
Okay, all right. Ashwini Dubey, I'll come back to you. Joyita, sorry, you were making your point.
Yeah, the fact is, you see, you cannot have a situation where the truck drivers and the transporters think that they have the license to kill. Because, and that is what exactly all this protest is coming across as, you know, we are going to kill, but we will get a punishment for 1 year. All right, 1 year to 2 years. For the fact of the matter, and to say that these drivers drive responsibly on highways, no way. Anybody who has driven on a highway, anybody who has been on highways, everyone has seen, first of all, there is a speed limit, but apparently they do something to their vehicles that all of them go above 40 anyway. You go to DND flyway, you go to this, this expressway, Noida, Delhi, Noida, that Greater, before up to Greater Noida, that expressway, you will see all trucks are running at 60 kilometers per hour, 70 kilometers per hour, but apparently the speed is 40. And then what happens, you see, because they have to go on long trips, and because they're not drivers, half of these drivers are drinking. Many of them are on drugs, as a result of which irresponsible driving is the rule in India. So you see, and that is what these people are talking about. That is what they are worried about, because they all know they are irresponsible drivers. They couldn't care less about what happens to the pedestrians, and that is why all this protest. The fact all transporters, they need to clean up their own act in terms of providing the drivers with proper workplace environment, which includes not overworking them and making them drive through the night. But that is something the transporters will not do, because they are saving money, but certainly they cannot have the license to kill. We are talking about human lives here.
Right, absolutely. Mahindra Arya, how do you respond to that then? Because there is a genuine concern when it comes to poorly driven trucks and buses in India, and Joyita is not the only one who's felt that. At the same time, the inability for the trucks and buses to be revamped, to be refurbished, to be new. We see so many cases of brake failures. We see cases where trucks and buses are parked in the middle of roads, highways and flyovers, because they've just stopped working, because they haven't been changed beyond their lifespan is being extended unnecessarily. So what really then needs to be done on the level of people who are employing truck drivers and running buses and trucks? What is it that they need to do? Because at the end of the day, there are punishments for other crimes as well. If you were to go and murder someone, whether you meant it or not, even if you didn't do it using your own car, if you were to go and murder someone, there will be a charge and there will be a fine and there will be imprisonment. So what I'm not being able to grasp what really is the problem with the 10-year imprisonment or the 7-year imprisonment here.
Okay. No, first let me refer to what Madam has been saying, the license to kill and such hard language. This is because of the perception. She thinks the drivers, they are on the drugs. She thinks the driver are always drinking, and that's how they are driving on the highways. If that progressed in the economy the way it has.
Okay.
$3 trillion economy comes because of the drivers. Everything, the raw material, finished goods, export, agriculture, everything has to be moved. And we are constantly increasing it. So this progress is coming because the drivers are sane, not because they are drunk and druggist. So the perception is the first part. We need to change the perception of the people. If we think negative about driver, we go on thinking it doesn't help anybody.
Okay.
Now coming to the requirement, as you said, see, the requirement is unless we touch the root of the problem. I'll quote Mr. Dubey, Ashwini. He said ki where the police is there to save the victim, he is also there to save the driver. Where is the police on the highway, sir? You are talking about the cities only. Cities are different cases. Most of the cases happen in the city. That's where your argument is applicable. On the highways, the driver is all alone. And there is a crowd of the villagers of the whichever area he is in. And the first action is, as Shamsher also said, the first action of the villagers is to pull the driver out and beat him up black and blue until he dies. And why the people? Without any reason, the police people, they slap the driver, they take money from the driver, all the officers from different tax authorities, they collect money from the driver.
Okay.
They abuse him with the respect for the driver. Nowhere. And this perception part and the dealing with the driver has to be proper. Accidents are never caused knowingly. Accidents happen. That's why they are called accidents. So a situation like this, maybe better training, better awareness on the highway for others also. If you see on the expressways, there are cars which are running at a slow speed in the fast lane. So they cause the accidents.
Yes.
So a lot of such training is required.
Okay.
Overall.
Okay. All right. I just have about 30 seconds. Joyita, 30 seconds. A lot of it seems to also be boiling down to the role of the cops and the authorities. How does then one address that aspect as well?
Well, first of all, you see, I mean, while it is definitely boiling down to the cops and all, it's also the cops' duty to catch the, culprit. And let's face it, most of the road accidents that are happening, it's primarily because of the truck drivers and their rash driving. All the, statistics we see, it is primarily the truck drivers that are responsible. So what are we even talking about? I mean, police and all they come in much, much later. First of all is the rash driving part, which the drivers do, even inside cities they do it. Okay, it's not just on the highways, they do it inside the cities, they do it everywhere. So what about some training? What about, you just don't pick up somebody from from anywhere and then push them into driving trucks and all. And then what you're doing, it's basically a political thing that is going on right now. I mean, every law that comes in, if you're going to protest it and it's going to be like, we are going to continue as we have been continuing for the last 20 years or 30 years, then sorry, there's going to be anarchy. Somewhere, they will have to
put some kind of a barrier and saying, sorry, this much and not any more.
Okay.
So why not sit down with the government and try to understand what they're trying to do?
All right. Okay, that's all the time that we have. I thank all of our panelists for joining us. Some key voices there, stakeholders also joined us in this very important debate. But that's all the time that we have.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.